Trump's not happy about it, nor are MAGA commentators like, for example, Tim Pool. So you have Joe Rogan, who is a MAGA podcast. Well, I shouldn't say a MAGA podcaster. He is MAGA friendly. He's MAGA adjacent. He interviewed Trump.
God,
he
why do we
endorsed
have
Trump.
to have
He
terms
presumably
for
voted for
everybody?
Trump. Joe Rogan loves this shit, and he's openly celebrating it. Tim Pool, on the other hand, another major podcaster, wildly successful podcaster, a bunch more MAGA,
You know Tim Pool got his feelings hurt. You know he's about to cry.
much more Trump aligned. He's not happy about it.
Here's my bet. Colbert gets canceled because they were spending $40-50 million a year on anti-Trump
Dude, Tim Pool is such a fucking crybaby, dude.
commentary. But this straight-laced goody two-shoes BS does not work. They've been talking about how they need a liberal Joe Rogan forever. I'm willing to bet that these prominent liberal billionaires and corporate types were like, listen, why do people like Joe? Because he's edgy, he's off the cuff. He'll say things you're not allowed to say. How do we do this? Well, Colbert ain't it. Colbert is straight-laced and boring. It's on the nose. The South Park guys. $300 million.
Shut the fuck up. They're not trying to make the South Park guys the Joe Rogan of the left. I keep saying this, and I think people on both sides of the fucking political sphere misunderstand. Or maybe I'm misunderstanding. Jesus Christ. But either way, this is what should be meant by people saying there should be a Joe Rogan on the left. This is what they should mean. Not that they need Joe Rogan, not that they need a person like Joe Rogan, that they need a person that can have a conversation with Democratic candidates, left-wing candidates, that can show people that potentially want to vote for them that they're human beings and that they're just like you. That's what that means. It doesn't have anything more to do with anything else. It literally just means that the left is incredibly bad about humanizing their candidates. They think you bring Beyonce out on stage and fucking give a speech and everybody's like, oh, I like them now because Beyonce likes them. And some people do fall for that shit, and it used to work. But that's not how it works anymore. You know, one of the things I hate about what was right that Trump did was going on stupid fucking shows like Aiden Ross and Joe Rogan made a bunch of people that possibly wouldn't have voted at all go, oh, I like this guy. I'm going to vote for him because he's edgy like us and funny like us. Well, none of them are fucking funny. But people continue to get this wrong. And if Tim Pool thinks that there's a conspiracy to make the South Park people into the Joe Rogan and left, he doesn't even fucking understand what that would look like.
Dollars per year they got in this deal.
Wow.
How does something like that happen? Here's my vision. They go to Matt and Trey and they say,
Oh, dude, Luck Dragon. They have to make a Tim Pool South Park character. God, that'd be amazing. What's up, Jeannie? That'd be so amazing.
we want you to go full.
Yeah, exactly, fan. Let's not forget this motherfucker legit took money from fucking Tenet Media.
Full-time South Park, mock Donald Trump, make him look bad. And they went, why? And they were like, we will pay you a lot of money. What's a lot of money? We will give you 30 million a year. We don't need
Nice
30 million a year.
Don.
50 million a year. Guys, we're rich. We don't need 50 million a year. Okay. 100 million a year. And they're like, honestly, what am I going to do with that? How about we give you 1.5 billion over 5 years? And then Matt and Trey were like, really? I imagine they were like, what do you want to do it? We want shock content that mocks Trump. I don't know.
That is fucking stupid. Isn't Larry Ellison's son the head of Skydance? Am I fucking wrong? Larry Ellison, the digital giant, his son David Ellison, who runs Skydance. Larry Ellison is a fucking Trump supporter. He's the second richest person in the fucking world. That makes zero sense. Why the fuck would Larry Ellison's son try to create content to mock Trump? Tim Pool does not know what the fuck he's talking about. Jesus Christ, he's fucking dumb. Like, does he ever look anything up before he talks? Oh my God, that's so annoying.
Give me $1 billion. Done.
Oh, thank you for
and
the
they gave him $1 billion.
Thank you, fan.
Now, I don't know if that's actually what happened, but it seems pretty obvious. The only problem is they're phoning it in.
What? So what? Tim Pool alleges this wild conspiracy that they had to bribe these two. They would never make fun of Trump in this way. They had to pay him $1.5 billion, which is true. They did get a $1.5 billion contract. That part is true. But this idea that it was all predicated, like, you got to go after Trump relentlessly, and that they're phoning it in, he seems perturbed by this. Rolling Stone Politics reports the White House says South Park is, quote, not relevant, quote, hanging on by a thread, and, quote,
so unrelevant that the White House responded to them and Paramount gave them $1.5 billion. They're so not relevant.
A fourth-rate show. The $1.5 billion Paramount is reportedly paying for 5 years of streaming rights, and it begs to differ. So we will dive into that article in just a second, but CNN data analyst Harry Enton, he has some data to support the notion that South Park is still relevant.
I'm coming with you, Dr.
Even if you
Don.
personally don't like it, which again, I'm not a South Park guy.
I'm coming soon.
Totally fair. Tastes are subjective. But is South Park irrelevant? Is it unpopular? Doesn't seem like it.
Everyone's talking about it today. Look at the Google Trends. I mean, look, Donald Trump wants this to go away. He obviously hates South Park, but the American people are infatuated with the story. Look at this. Google Trends for South Park
Jesus.
up 670% versus last week. It is the top topic searched with Donald Trump this afternoon.
Damn.
And I will note another person they one time put in bed with Satan was Saddam Hussein. Not exactly the comparison I think Donald Trump wants.
That was the reference that Satan made in the clip. You remind me of somebody that I used to know. They're referring to Saddam Hussein.
But that was the top two. When you Trump plus something is Trump plus South Park.
You got it exactly right, Aaron Burnett.
Wow. Okay. So the episode didn't just target Trump. It did go after its own parent company,
yes,
Paramount, over the merger that was just approved and what happened to Colbert. So that merger gets approved today. So this was last night. So just on the eve of it, they said this.
You guys saw what happened to CBS? You don't know guess who owns CBS? Paramount.
Dude, tell me, guys. Who does South Park Jesus look more like? Asmongold or Moist Critical? I think South Park Jesus looks like Asmongold.
You really want to end up like Colbert? You guys gotta stop being stupid.
We can't understand you.
Just shut up, or we're going to get canceled, you idiots! If someone has the power of the presidency and also has the power to sue and take bribes, then he can do anything to anyone! It's the president, dude! All of you shut the up or South Park is over!
Okay.
Again, pretty ballsy, right?
Dude, I love CNN's, like, their fucking anchors are, like, literally what's wrong with the left wing. Like, how out of touch. So, like, okay. Like, it's okay, lady. Fucking laugh. Show people you're a human being. Shit was funny. This is why people don't like these people. This is why people don't like CNN. Like, just be a real fucking human being. Don't be a robot. Laugh, lady. It's okay. It's all right.
Right? You just took 1.5. I mean, it's the ultimate,
Fan
I
says
guess, media outlaw
nice.
mentality. You take $1.5 billion from a company and then openly mock that company right after receiving it for being weak and corrupt and, pushovers for a corrupt, authoritarian, thin-skinned president, whom they also say in this episode, depict in this episode as having a really, really, really tiny penis.
Can't say
focus
that
on
enough.
that for a minute because Trump is apparently, again, pissed off about that.
Can't
the White
say
House is
that
pissed
enough.
off about it. That's it's pretty ballsy, right? It's pretty
Pun intended.
relentless. Like, a lot of people, most people would not be able to do that. And it just goes to show that South Park creators seem very authentic in their irreverence.
I guess maybe I know the answer to this, but who exactly is South Park talking to?
You know, I think one of the things that's so important to point out was that Stephen Colbert was
Dude, luck. Don't do my boy pep talks wrong like that. Did you say he looks like South Park Jesus? Don't do my boy pep talks like that.
despised by Republicans in this country. His net popularity
What's up,
rating
Sean?
was way underwater. But South Park is in this unique position. It doesn't just talk to Democrats. It actually talks to Republicans as well. Look at the net popularity rating.
South Park goes up 2 points. Stephen Colbert has never been popular with the right, except for, hold on, I'm wrong. When he used to act like he was a fake when he used to act like he was a conservative, but he was a fake conservative on Jon Stewart's Daily Show, there was definitely some dumbasses on the right that thought that he was not playing a character, that shit was real.
I love the poorly educated.
So amazing.
White males way up. White males have gone through the roof. White males way up.
Oh, dude.
The GOP. South Park is actually on the positive side of the ledger compared to Stephen Colbert, who is way underwater at minus 35 points. South Park at this particular point running 37 points.
All right, Mom. I'm gonna take your word for it, and I'm gonna give her another chance. All right. Maybe I was just being mean.
It's ahead of Stephen Colbert when it comes to the Republican Party, and therefore last night might actually be talking to some Republicans.
Which is
talking to some Republicans saying, hey, listen, this sure seems like a corrupt quid pro quo and, corrupt authoritarian push. So let's take a look at the article by Rolling Stone. White House rages over South Park episode. Calls for fourth rate. Donald Trump's White House is melting down over Wednesday night's South Park premiere, which just so happened to attack the president's, quote, teeny tiny manhood and depict him as literally in bed with the devil, effectively taking over the role held on the show for many years by the late genocidal dictator Saddam Hussein. Quote, the left's hypocrisy truly has no end. For years, they've come after South Park for what they labeled as offensive content, but suddenly they're praising the show. Trump White House spokesperson Taylor Rogers told Rolling Stone.
And this is why I love when people say shit like that. I'm like, nope. I thought the Prius episode where they're smelling their own farts was fucking amazing, to be honest with you. 100%.
In a statement this morning. Quote, just like the creators of South Park, the left has no authentic or original content, which is why their popularity continues to hit record lows. This show hasn't been relevant for over 20 years and is hanging on by a thread with uninspired ideas in a desperate attempt for attention. Trump has delivered on more promises in 6 months than any president in our country's history, and no fourth-rate show can derail Trump's hot streak. Now, again, I find that ironic. I know a lot of liberals and conservatives who enjoy South Park. I've not known, I suppose it's possible, intuitively, I guess, that perhaps some sensitive people who identify on the left have been clutching their pearls about South Park. I've just not heard that. But what's interesting is if you accuse the left of hypocrisy for that, then we can just accuse you, the right, of hypocrisy on that because you all love South Park. And now because it made fun of Donald Trump, you're bitching about it nonstop from a position of power. Sounds like
don't do my boy like that.
And you should be mocked. The episode came in just hours after it was reported that Paramount had agreed to buy the global streaming rights for South Park in a 5-year deal worth $1.5 billion. The twice impeached, repeatedly indicted president has for decades harbored intense, mean-spirited pop culture fixations, and that personality trait has not changed 6 months into a second administration. It would be easier to shrug off his celebrity obsessions as mere cattiness if waging war on late-night television and its corporate owners weren't an actual facet of his administration's sprawling project of authoritarianism and fear. Prior to the White House's statement, Rolling Stone had asked several Trump advisors if clips of the latest South Park episode had been circulating among Trump's staff. One senior administration official replied, quote, of course, noting how much their phone had lit up about it. A Trump advisor also said they'd seen it and that as a longtime fan of the series, they found it, quote, disappointing. Trump recently secured a hefty payout from Paramount to settle this meritless lawsuit against CBS's 60 Minutes, which based on claims that the show selectively edited an interview with Vice President Kamala Harris, which of course we've covered extensively. The Paramount settlement comes as the outfit seeks regulatory approval for its merger with Skydance and appears to contain more than just a payout to Trump's library fund. According to Trump, the deal includes a $16 million settlement as well as $20 million, quote, from the new owners in advertising, PSAs, and similar programming. South Park specifically skewered their
By the way, that $20 million with advertising and other stuff is just literally Larry Ellison finding a way to donate more money and time to Donald Trump. These people are finding every single loophole that they can to stuff Donald Trump's pockets with dollars because it is pay to play. They know as long as they keep giving this guy money, they will get to do whatever they want and he'll leave them alone. That's what that $20 million is for. Don't get it fucking twisted.
Reported PSA arrangement on Wednesday. The episode concluded with an AI-generated PSA showing a fully nude Trump wandering the desert with a, quote, teeny tiny penis. So again, pretty brutal.
One more time.
Trump's not happy about it. I will also point out that the creators of South Park mock Trump further still with a sarcastic apology.
Yep.
Quote, "We're terribly sorry." South Park creators respond with humor to White House anger over naked Donald Trump. South Park co-creator Trey Parker had the briefest of responses on Thursday to anger from the White House over the latest season premiere, which showed a naked Donald Trump in bed with Satan. Quote, "We're terribly sorry," Parker said, followed by a long, deadpan comic stare.
Dude, and he knows the way that Trump and them will twist this, too. That's why he gave the deadpan stare, right? Is he knows that Trump and them were going to be like, they apologized, they said they were sorry, they know they fucked up. I am never going to be, their show sucks, it's irrelevant, but at least they said sorry.
Parker was asked for his reaction to the fracas on the stage at San Diego's Comic-Con International at the beginning of an animated panel that also included his South Park partner Matt Stone, Beavis and Butthead creator Mike Judge, and actor Andy Samberg, who co-created the animated Digman. So, that's their response to it. Yeah, they don't give a shit. It's cool. I also want to look at this article by Politico, Trump's South Park problem. They said last year that they were done with Donald Trump, but they didn't know what more they could say about him. But in the return to the airwaves of Comedy Central stalwart South Park, the first episode since March 2023, the creators of the irreverent, long-running cartoon series just couldn't resist. Trump is skewered for his connections to Jeffrey Epstein and is depicted as a man who has lined the walls of the White House with naked photos of himself. He's also shown in a relationship with the devil, who is concerned that Trump is starting to act a lot like one of his former lovers, Saddam Hussein. It's quote, "It's weird that whenever the Epstein list comes up, you just tell everyone to relax." Again, that was in the clip. It's the latest sign that Trump has lost control of the Epstein narrative and that the saga has broken Washington containment and permeated deep into popular culture. That makes it the worst kind of White House mess. South Park, which has aired since 1997, has over the years become a boundary-pushing comedic touchstone. It has mercilessly mocked political figures, including Al Gore, Democrat, George W. Bush, Republican, Barack Obama, Democrat, and Hillary Clinton, Democrat. It frequently offends viewers of all political stripes. Among other things, it portrays the devil as sensitive and emotionally mature and regularly critiques organized religion, and it remains an essential part of the American comedy landscape. Its creators Matt Stone and Trey Parker just signed a 5-year deal with Paramount, reportedly worth $1.5 billion. The show, which isn't explicitly ideological and is more anti-establishment in tone, often delighting in puncturing political correctness, has gone after Trump before, but not so clearly or directly. It's the latest attack on the president puts it in the company of many other comedians or online influencers that have been teeing off on Trump over Epstein in recent weeks. Prima facie evidence that Trump has misread the priorities of young men who powered him back into office. And it goes on like that. But folks, yeah, this is it's pretty funny. I did want to weigh in on the South Park thing, but obviously there were other things to report on at the time, or to discuss at the time. But yeah, this clip has gone viral. It's all over the place. Trump's pissed off about it. The Trump White House is pissed off about it publicly and privately. And despite that, the creators of South Park are just mocking him even more, in addition to the vicious mocking that they give him in the clip. And MAGA-friendly podcaster Joe Rogan is openly celebrating this, even though other, more MAGA successful podcasters like Tim Pool are obviously triggered. In the meantime, let me know what you think.
Yeah, he's crying. He's crying like a little bitch. Tim Pool is such a crybaby, dude. You know what's really good? Last week on this space, on Thursday, I guess that was like 2 days ago. 2 days ago on this space, we watched a video of Kyle Kalinske talking about the poll numbers of young people and how Donald Trump has lost insane amounts of young voters. It's something like over 70% on every single policy issue disagree with Donald Trump. And this is really important because the left has some really, really glaring weak spots. One, they have a really hard time talking to blue-collar people. Two, they have a really hard time talking to young people. And three, their base, both minorities and LGBT people, have been recently offended by the Democratic Party in one way or another by either them not following through with certain policies or not following through with certain promises. And it's really important right now for people to recognize that we can change what is going on. And I know there's people at home right now going, no, we can't. No, we can't. It's never going to change. No, we can. We can. Because we need to show politicians on the left that this is what the party is now. That the establishment Democrat, play across the aisle, always being super, bipartisan and, not pushing for things that, you've promised on the campaign trail because you don't want to hurt Republicans' feelings. We can show these guys through this type of material that this is the party moving forward. And, one of the things that I think people are going to constantly do on the right is they're going to constantly point out to people like Chuck Schumer, people like Hakeem Jeffries, people like Cory Booker, like, you're losing your party. That's what the right wants to do. They want to point to the left and say, you're losing your party. Do something about it. Clean your own house. It's the same thing that the people on the left were saying to the right coming up to this election. We're saying, if you don't clean house, if you don't fix things, there will be no more conservative party. And guess what happened? There is no more conservative party. The number of conservatives now in the Republican Party is 0 to 0. There's almost nothing left. It's mostly people that are disillusioned, people that are exhausted with dealing with Trump. Those people, they don't have a party anymore. They are homeless in the Republican Party. But the answer to what MAGA has done is to say to the left, you can't play by the same playbook. You can't play between the 45s. You've got to stop listening to guys like Carville or Obama's campaign manager, that the only thing he's ever done was when with Obama. And let's be honest, Obama won that campaign. Like, put me in charge of fucking Obama's campaign 20 years ago. I could have fucking done that. All right? Obama was a fucking force to be reckoned with. The left needs to recognize they need to be more social media savvy. They need to start listening to young people in their party. They need to start listening to the minorities in their party, the both ethnically minority and the LGBT people, because these are the people that will 100% support them if they fucking follow through with what the fuck they talk about. I said this also on Thursday's show. We got to stop with soft language. Like this idea, when I first started doing this content, and I still do to this day, I would get a lot of comments from left-wing people that would say, oh, I like your content, but you cuss too much. I don't like that you cuss. Too fucking bad. Too fucking bad. Because the reason that I talk like I do is because I'm honest. Because I'm not holding back. Because I'm not concerned about whether or not you like me. What I'm concerned about is getting shit done. What I'm concerned about is getting universal health care for people. What I'm concerned about is the fact that LGBT people and minorities are constantly at risk of being harmed. What I'm concerned about is that my daughter has to grow up in a society that is slowly and now faster rolling back further and further and further into the bullshit that we have fucking struggled to get out of it. I don't give two shits if you don't like my language. I don't give two shits if you don't like the comedy I like. I don't give two shits about an old ass dated playbook that everybody in the fucking world can see doesn't work anymore, except for certain people in the Democratic Party. So you can wake the fuck up, or you can keep fucking losing. That's on you. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell, and check out that video on the screen now.